Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading today from the Srimad-bhagavatam, 8th Canto, Chapter 5, Text 25. Chapter is called The Demigod's Appeal to the Lord. It's showing on the screen, right? You can see on the screen, right? Okay. Tatradrishtva swarupaya Shruta purvaya vai prabhu Stutim abruta daivivir Girbis Tvavahitendriyaha Tatradrishta Swarupaya Shruta Purvaya Vai Prabhu Stutim Abruta Daivivir Girbis Tvavahitendriyaha Tatradrishtva Swarupaya Shruta Purvaya Vai Prabhu Stutim Abruta Daivivir Girbis Tvavahitendriyaha Girbis Tvavahitendriyaha. We're putting the TV and the next word together. So that's the way they were. Girbis Tvavahitendriyaha. Well, when Srila Prabhupada was present, and then they would be chanting. I know they would combine if you had a verb there, and the next word starts with a vowel, it would just be merged together. Could be, but it wasn't then. So anyway, that's chant the best you can chant. That's just I try to do. I knew it was done then. Go ahead. Tatradrishva Swarupaya Shruta Purvaya Vai Prabhu Stutim Abruta Daivivir Girvistu Avatendriyaha Tatradrishtva Swarupaya Shruta Purvaya Vai Prabhu Sutim Abruta Daivivir Girvistu Avatendriyaha.
Those slides are we taking directly.
I'm taking from the database, copy and paste into this is the program that I'm using. Yes. Okay. So word for word, Tatra, there at the Lord's abode known as Shweta Dweep. Adrishta Swarupaya, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is not seen even by Lord Brahma. Shruta Purvaya, but who was heard about from the Vedas. Vai, indeed, Prabhu, Lord Brahma, Stutim, prayers derived from Vedic literature. Abruta, performed. Daivibi, by prayers mentioned in the Vedic literature, or offered by persons strictly following Vedic principles. Girbihi, by such sound vibrations or songs. To then, avahita indriyaha, fixed in mind without deviation. Translation. Yeah, there it is. Every time I move the mouse, it comes on the screen. There at Shweta-dweep, Lord Brahma offered prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though he had never seen the Supreme Lord. Simply because Lord Brahma had heard about the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the Vedic literature, with a fixed mind, he offered the Lord prayers as written or approved by Vedic literature. Repeat it after me. There at Shweta-dweep, Lord Brahma offered prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though he had never seen the Supreme Lord. Simply because Lord Brahma had heard about the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the Vedic literature, with a fixed mind, he offered the Lord prayers as written or approved by Vedic literature. Srila Prabhupada's purport. It is said that when Lord Brahma and the other demigods go to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Shweta-dweep, they cannot directly see him, but their prayers are heard by the Lord, and the needful action is taken. This we have seen in many instances. The word Shruta Purvaya is significant. We get experience by directly seeing or by hearing. If it is not possible to see someone directly, we can hear about him from authentic sources. Sometimes people ask whether we can show them God. This is ludicrous. It is not necessary for one to see God before he can accept God. Our sensory perception is always incomplete. Therefore, even if we see God, we may not be able to understand him. When Krishna was on earth, many people saw him, but could not understand that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Avajananti mang mudha manushim tanu ashritam. Even though the rascals and fools saw Krishna personally, they could not understand that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even upon seeing God personally, one who is unfortunate cannot understand him. Therefore, we have to hear about God, Krishna, from the authentic Vedic literature and from persons who understand the Vedic version properly. Even though Brahma had not seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead before, he was confident that the Lord was there in Shweta-dweep. Thus, he took the opportunity to go there and offer prayers to the Lord. These prayers were not ordinary concocted prayers. Prayers must be approved by Vedic literature, as indicated in this verse, by the words, Daivibir Giribihi. In our Krishna consciousness movement, we do not allow any song that has not been approved or sung by bona fide devotees. We cannot allow cinema songs to be sung in the temple. We generally sing two songs. One is Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavrinda. This is bona fide. It is always mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it is accepted by the Acharyas. The other, of course, is the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We may also sing the songs of Narottama Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Lochana Das Thakur. But these two songs, Sri Krishna Chaitanya and the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, are sufficient to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although we cannot see him. Seeing the Lord is not as important as appreciating him from the authentic literature or the authentic statements of authorized persons. Om Ajnana Timaranda Shakina Jana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Nina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So here we have Lord Brahma with all the demigods on the shore of the ocean of milk, praying to Lord Vishnu, who they cannot see, but they believe, they understand, they have faith that he's there, out of sight, and this is significant that they can on the basis of Vedas, on the basis of even logic, they understood that the Supreme Lord is there. Of course, it's not so much logic because that our logic can get mixed up because our senses are not perfect. But they were able to have that faith. There's another verse that we read not too far back, where it was a previous chapter about Gajendra. And Gajendra, the king of the elephants, when he was offering prayers, he offered so many nice prayers, and he also, it says, had not seen the Supreme Lord, but he understood that the Supreme Lord, he understood there was a Supreme Lord. It was logical that the world is. If you just look at the world, you look at the universe, you see there's so much order here. There's so much. There's just no explanation of how things are the way they are without accepting that there's a God. Even if we don't know much about God, it's not hard to accept that there has to be a God who's created everything, who's maintaining everything, who's making everything work in a very organized way. The sun rises and sets exactly the same every day for, well, as long as there's a universe here, it's doing that. These things don't happen without a controller. The sun is the movements of the sun are so exact that you set time on it, you set clocks on it, you set calendars to it. It never deviates like that. And there's so many other ways, there's so much order in the world like that. So, and then of course, that's just from the logical, what you can see logically and through for practical observation. But then there's here Lord Brahma, who had heard the Vedas from the Lord. He heard, but had not seen the Lord. But from that, based on that, he understood, and he had that faith. It's not just a matter of hearing it, but he actually had the faith that the Vedas that he had heard were true and accurate. So he understood that the Lord exists. He understood that the Lord was present there in the universe on Shweta Dweep, in the middle of the Milk Ocean, and he understood that he was simply a small servant, very small servant of the Supreme Lord. So when the universe gets in big problems, actual universal problems. We have city problems, we have international problems, but the demigods deal with interplanetary problems, universal problems. So when they have big problems throughout the universe, when the demons are taking over and those kind of things, then of course they go to the Supreme Lord, who appears within this universe. That same Supreme Lord who they're praying to on Sweta Dweep, that's Kshirodakshai Vishnu, and that same Kshirodakshai Vishnu is a super soul. So he's everywhere. He's in everyone's heart. He's on Sweta Dweep. He's actually in the heart of every living being, and he's in every atom. He's everywhere. Everything has order and everything works in a certain way because the Supreme Lord is present there. So they're praying to him in that mood. And then, of course, Srila Prabhupada is pointing out here that that the prayers and the songs that we sing, at least within ISKCON and within the temple, they're only authorized ones, only authorized. So specifically, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and we call it the Panchatattva Maha Mantra, which is the Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. And of course there are other songs we sing, because we sing the Mangalartik, Sangsara Dava, Navalita Loka, and so on, which is written by who? Mangalartik. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, another one of our acharyas. Srila Prabhupada didn't specifically mention his name here, but he's certainly one of our acharyas who wrote different songs. And all of these songs, all the ones his, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs, Narottama Das Thakur's songs, all these songs, they're not just songs, they're not just nice melodies. They are actually very pleasing to sing and to hear. But not only that, but these songs they support the same principles that are found in the Vedic literatures. I mean, the Vedic. If you study any of these songs, then you'll see that every statement within the song is not just sentiment. It's actually support. It's like a Vedic literature in itself. It's supporting the Vedic literatures. So Srila Prabhupada says we don't, in our temples, in our ISKCON temples, we don't sing. He says cinema songs. We don't sing the popular songs that are out there. There's so many pop songs like that, but we don't sing them in the temple. We don't sing them for Krishna. But because they're not authorized as far as Vedic knowledge goes. And I remember once many years ago, because Srila Prabhupada was still present, and Mayapur temple was had been recently started, and there were some walls put up, and someone had put a verse they composed themselves. They knew a little Sanskrit or Bengali or something. I'm not sure which language it was in, but it was a nice verse. Sentiment was nice. Srila Prabhupada said, but you should not. He said you should not dare create your own verses and put them like this. We should use the verses that are already been written or sung or been approved by our acharyas. are the pure devotees of Krishna, like that. So even if someone knew the language, and even if the sentiment was nice, which Srila Prabhupada admitted in that case, but he says don't do that. Just use those songs and verses that have been created by the pure devotees, by the our great acharyas in our line. And then we a lot in practicing Krishna consciousness. A lot of what we do is based on faith. Actually, a lot of our spiritual, our determining how spiritually advanced one is in Krishna consciousness, is all based on faith, or largely based on faith. Because if you break it down, third-class devotee means very little faith, very, very weak faith, a little faith, but very weak, easy to convince outside by any arguments outside of Krishna consciousness. It's very easily to change the mind of a third-class devotee. Second-class devotee has developed strong faith in the words of the spiritual master, the words of the Vedas. Second-class devotee may not be able to sufficiently make good arguments on the basis of that. Even if they have faith, they may not be able to make good arguments sometimes to support their understanding of Krishna consciousness. But they have strong faith that if I follow this process, if I give my life to the practice of Krishna consciousness, and I follow this process strictly, that this is the best thing I can do for my life. This is the best thing I can do to become Krishna conscious. This is some of the characteristics of second-class devotee. And a first-class devotee has complete faith, because the first-class devotee has full realization of Krishna. So if you're seeing Krishna face to face, then there's no doubt you have 100% faith in Krishna, like that. And then during Krishna's presence, not many people didn't. They saw Krishna. We don't see Krishna. Well, we do see Krishna. Krishna is here in the deity form, but they saw Krishna in a we may say a more human-like living form, engaged directly in doing so many activities. They would see them like that, but even those who saw him like that, many didn't understand who Krishna is as a supreme personality of Godhead. And some because they were covered by Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya means there are two kinds of Maya. There's Yoga Maya and there's Mahamaya. So Mahamaya is the one that makes us forget about God. It makes us think that I am this material body, and I'm this material body, and we come to some conclusion that maybe God does not even exist. That Mahamaya, we're very covered. But also in the spiritual world, in Krishna's intimate devotees, they're also in Maya in a sense, but their Maya is Yoga Maya. And Yoga Maya means, just like yoga means to link with God, to connect. So Yoga Maya means that Maya that helps us to engage in our particular rasa with Krishna, in which case we forget we're covered, so we don't know who Krishna is. We just see, you see Krishna as your, depending on your rasa, you see Krishna as your personal friend, or you see Krishna as your lover, or you see Krishna as your child, or you see Krishna as Krishna's your master, your servant, but you're seeing Krishna like that, but you're not understanding necessarily that you're definitely not understanding that Krishna is God, because you cannot. If Mother Yashoda is understanding that Krishna is God, then how could she act and function as the mother of Krishna? She can't. She would not be in that. She couldn't possibly be in that mood if she understood who Krishna really was. And Krishna does. And Krishna wants her to function as his mother. He wants to be dependent on her and Nanda Maharaj, and simply he wants to play that part. He wants to enjoy that part as being the child and dependent on his loving parents. The gopis, they want to enjoy with Krishna. It's just their boyfriend, like that. If they understood that Krishna is God, how can they do like that? So by yoga maya, they're covered, and in that way they can enjoy with him, and he can enjoy with them in that mood. Krishna doesn't particularly he doesn't find particular pleasure in just having devotees praying to him and glorifying him and like that. He actually, that we do that, and others do that because we need to become purified and Krishna conscious. We need to become purified. We need to become Krishna conscious. So and we have to right now have that mood of awe and reverence with Krishna, so that we can become completely Krishna conscious. But Krishna doesn't really like that. As far as his real, where it pleases him, he likes to have these intimate relationships with his devotees, where they don't even understand who he is. So whether someone knows directly who Krishna is, or not, not so important here. But one should at least, minimum, have that faith based on Vedic scriptures. We should have that faith in that there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we should have that faith that he is a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he has so many qualities. Well, they're good qualities, of course. If we look in the Nectar of Devotion, there's chapters like so many characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, of Krishna. There's so many descriptions of Krishna's his actual personality. So for Vedic literatures, even though we cannot see God directly in his original form until we become fully Krishna conscious, but from these Vedic literatures, from Nectar of Devotion, from Srimad-bhagavatam, and so on, we can understand Krishna's, understand so much about God. And this is a very special thing about the Vedic literatures. You don't get this kind of information, this kind of knowledge about God in any other religious scriptures, right? God is good, God is great, God is the order supplier. There's so much said, and there's in different scriptures, but to understand intimately about the personality of God, about what he looks like. There's no description of what God looks like that I'm aware of outside of the Vedas. So what does God look like? What does he do? What does he do at different times of the day? Who who were his friends, what kind of house did he live in. So much knowledge is there in the Vedas. We read about Krishna in Krishna book when Krishna appears in this material world, and there's also descriptions about Krishna directly in the spiritual world. When he comes in the material world, he basically brings the spiritual world with him. But there's a book by Srila Jiva Goswami. It's called Gopal. Now I forget. Gopal Champu. That's it. Gopal Champu. It's a big book. It's two volumes. They're about two of these. And one of the chapters is about Krishna Loka. I mean, aside from Krishna when he comes here, there's actually a description of Krishna Loka. There's detailed descriptions of Govardhan Hill and Nashishi Gaudadai, Shishi Radha Vihara Jagannath, Balaram, Lady Subhadra, Vanashigade, Prahlad Maharaj, Ki Jai. So there's so much information given in the Vedas that we've been given by our acharyas, by Srila Prabhupada and by the previous acharyas. There's so much knowledge about God. So if we want to develop a loving relationship with God, if you want to develop a loving relationship with anyone, you have to know something about them, right? You want to learn to love someone, you have to know something. You can't just, without knowing something about another person, or without having some kind of exchange with the other person, there's no question of love. So we want to develop that loving relationship with Krishna. So there's so much information given in these books by the acharyas about God and what he does and what his relationships are and his abode. It's information like this. There's so much given there that if we study these, we study Nectar Devotion, we study these books of the previous acharyas, study the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is the basis of the Nectar Devotion, to study the Srimad-bhagavatam, which we're doing daily. If we study all like this, then we can have so much knowledge that if we just have faith in that knowledge, the knowledge is there, but if we have faith in it, then we can start to develop this proper attitude. Even in Krishna book, there's Rukmini, who became one of Krishna's queens, and she also had never seen Krishna at one point. She had never seen Krishna, but she had heard. She would hear the different brahmanas and different saintly persons coming through the palace, and they would speak because they had seen Krishna, and they would speak about him. And just by hearing about Krishna from these great souls, as she developed such love for him, she had to marry him. I will not marry anyone except Krishna. But she never even seen him. She never spoken with him. And finally she asked Krishna, she wrote a letter and had someone deliver it, and it said, Krishna, you have to come here. She said so many nice things, but basically you have to come here and you have to kidnap me. Because tomorrow they're about ready to make me marry somebody else, and you have to kidnap me and take me away. So he did. He came, but her love for him came from simply hearing about him from persons who were giving proper knowledge about him, like that. So in the same way, we can develop great love for Krishna by hearing from these authorized sources, reading Krishna book, reading the other books that Srila Prabhupada has given us, and the other authorized books that the acharyas have given us, we can develop love for Krishna if we read these books, we study these books, and of course have faith in the knowledge that's in these books, and which is why we have the books. One of the first books that Srila Prabhupada gave us, at least I know it was one of the books on the table when I joined the movement, and that was about 5 years after Srila Prabhupada came. It was the Krishna book. Srila Prabhupada wanted us to have that Krishna book. It's 10th Canto, Srimad-bhagavatam, a summary of the 10th Canto. And 10th Canto is way up there. We're working towards that in our classes here. But Srila Prabhupada wanted us to have the Krishna book because it's all about Krishna's personal, intimate pastimes, just so we could develop that mood of start developing that loving mood, become attracted to Krishna in that form. Not just here, philosophy, but here is actually Krishna in his personal activities, with his intimate devotees like that, and we can actually develop a taste, a desire, a hope. Boy, I hope one day I can be. Maybe I can be a gopi, or I can be in spiritual world, be a gopi, or be a cowherd boy, or have a parental relationship with Krishna, like that. We can develop these tastes if we read these books with a little bit of faith, like that. It's 8:26. I'm supposed to stop at 8:30, so I'll stop here. Are there any questions, comments?
Say that even though he had never seen the Supreme Lord,
Yeah.
However, we read in Srimad-bhagavatam that when Brahma attained enlightenment, when Brahma achieved enlightenment,
Yes.
From Goloka should come with him.
So which means he has seen him. So how to understand that?
No, congratulations, Brahma, you did it.
I don't have an answer for that. I don't know.
I think it's possible that here we are talking about different alphas.
Could be.
Different creations. Maybe you may have seen this form of the personality for him instead of this form.
It's possible. And the Srimad-bhagavatam is not restricted to one, even this creation. Yeah, there's knowledge from. We talk about in the Srimad-bhagavatam about even previous creations and everything. So the knowledge was given to us in a certain way, in a certain format, in a certain, order, according to what is favorable for helping us to become Krishna conscious. And it's not. These things are not necessarily even not on this planet for sure. It's not chronological. What chronological is, it's not chronological, but it is in the best order for us to learn and become Krishna conscious by studying it. That's what it is. So exactly how Krishna shakes his hand there and how he's never seen him there, I don't know absolutely, but the one important thing here is that we who haven't shook hands with Krishna, based on faith in the Vedas, faith and even our own logic, considering the faith, the Vedic teachings, we can understand there obviously has to be a God, and we can have that faith in God. And we can have that faith that what the Vedas say about God is factual. And how do we develop that faith? Well, you have to have a little faith. You have to have a little faith to develop faith. You have to have at least a little
little faith to start. But if you, we have some amount of realization if we're practicing Krishna consciousness. We may not have that, but for sure we don't have 100% realization. But when we hear that if I chant Hare Krishna, if I follow the principles, if I engage in sadhana bhakti like we're doing, then we'll become happy, we'll become more detached from the material, trying to enjoy the material world. We become more detached from that. Our certain realization will increase. We hear these things and we practice the process, and we see practically that this is true. So we have some practical hands-on realization of that the process in the Vedas is working. So based on that, we can say, okay, I agree, I accept this. What's the rest? I can accept whatever else the Vedas say is true, because I'm seeing that what have this part of what I've read in the Vedas, I have seen practically that it is true because of my personal direct perception, personal experience like that. So that's how we develop that faith in something that is beyond us to act directly see.
What is the name of this chapter?
Chapter is called The Demigod's Appeal to the Lord. Yes. Chapter 5. Questions?
Yes. I wanted to ask, you mentioned the first class devotees, they can see Lord Krishna.
Yes. The first class means like Srila Prabhupada, yes. Actually see, yeah. Not just see him, speak with him, play with him.
How would you know this is not a hallucination or something like that? A lot of people claim they see or hear God. Maybe they have devotees, but how would you distinguish?
If you were actually seeing God, how do you know that's not an hallucination? If you're seeing God, that Maya is completely, there's no more Maya for you. It's
Arjuna asked about that. He says so many things about the person who is in pure consciousness, and Krishna said, "What are the symptoms?" Anybody can say, "Oh yes, I'm in pure consciousness." And the question Arjuna asked is, "Okay, how can I recognize that person?" And Krishna gives several symptoms of the person who is in pure consciousness. So, when you are actually in the position of seeing Krishna face to face, you can tell by the symptoms of that person. It's not the person that, oh, I saw God, but then he performs any mundane activity. These are persons who are immersed in prima bhakti.
Yeah.
They decided to give us all the symptoms of the person who is immersed in prima bhakti. So that person, and it's not that they simply every day walking. They may have flashes, they may have darshas, momentary darshas, but it's not that at every moment in this world they are every person walking.
Yeah, even Prahlad Maharaj obviously saw Lord Nrsimhadev. He was there when he was ripping apart Hiranyakashipu. But we read later on that he was not, I don't know if he even saw him again. He saw Lord Nrsimhadev again. But he was always serving him. He was always loving him. He was always praying to him. So it's not like,
So besides that, it's not something that we usually base our arguments on that. And we know that the pure devotee may have the darshan of Radha Krishna Vrindavan, but it's not that something that we go on saying, you know what, because I saw God and God coming.
yeah.
For example, we do accept that Krishna had the darshan of Radha Krishna. I mean, Prabhupada has had the darshan of Radha Krishna several times. But you see the personality of Prabhupada. It's not just an ordinary Actually, all those revelations that Prabhupada had, he only commented occasionally with his most intimate disciples. Not that he was going on the street claiming that I am God.
Yes,
You
Srila
can see his life, and the life of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. They are stars among the Vaishnavas, people who live, absorbed, completely immersed in Prema Bhakti. By the symptom of his life, you can tell that they are not cheating, they are not having hallucinations. Actually, because every action of their life are completely above the law of mind. Because they are not trying to enjoy material nature. They have an attachment to material nature. They have a psychological attachment to life. And the whole life from the very beginning, the whole life is engaged in Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada used to say, see, God is not something foreign to us. What is actually weird is that we do not see Him. That's actually weird.
Yeah, why? Yeah.
It's just like you can see your father every day. Now, if you don't see your father, it's because something's going on. But you're supposed to see him. So, seeing Krishna, what is amazing is that we do not see him.
Uh-huh.
Which is in our heart, it's our father. So, in pure state of consciousness, the devotee can come to the natural position, the soul, seeing God face to face.
And but your question was for the one who actually sees God. How do you know that? How does he know or she know that she's not just having an illusion seeing God? But if you're actually that Krishna conscious, anyway, it'll be very obvious because if you say like you say where there's light, there cannot be darkness. So if there's Krishna, then there's no Maya there.
Come here, I have
No illusion.
Many times. I had this feeling many times here that sometimes people come and they tell me personally that they saw Krishna and they saw Radha Krishna. Have you never seen him? No. How come? Because I have seen him. Okay, good for you. But by the way they live, you can tell they are not at that level of consciousness.
Yeah, that's why I'm just thinking that also if you know the symptoms, you can imitate them. Just unconsciously. You can imitate the symptoms. Just deceive yourself. Right?
Well, actually, I don't know how much you can imitate because maybe hide some things a little bit. But if you look at Nectar Devotion, chapter 17 or 18. It's the symptoms of ecstatic love. Characteristics of one who's in ecstatic love.
We're reading it right now.
Yes, Prabhupada,
Oh.
sometimes people in India, that's very common, I've seen, they make an imitation of ecstatic symptoms and they paint on the cloak, like people are chanting. Prabhupada said, no, you go and kick them. If they complain that they are disimilated, if you boom, kick them. If he said, you feel the voice in that stage, you won't hear nothing. Then you can always go. If he gets so
But one of those symptoms is such a person is never waste any time because he always wants to be 100% engaged in Krishna service. Another symptom is very attached to chanting Hare Krishna. He's always chanting. Hearing and chanting the glories of Krishna, yeah.
He doesn't waste any time. He doesn't engage in any other activity.
He's very detached. I mean, actually detached. Not that you just you force yourself and okay, I'm not going to touch this. I'm going to try to prove it and show that I'm detached. But actually, if you're actually really detached.
If you imitate the symptoms, you can do it for a little while. You cannot do it in your whole life, 24 hours a day.
Yeah, as Srila Prabhupada says in that same chapter, you cannot. These symptoms cannot be. You cannot really imitate them. You get,
So
so,
when you take the external aspect, for example, here I can start crying, or yes, or when there is a problem, you get, something, you're not in that position.
that's right. So,
The reality always comes out.
mhm.
Be a beautiful woman passes by and you look at the reality, how come?
Yeah,
Things like that.
that's right.
Human, because we are human nature, always will come out at some time.
That's right. So one who is actually is on and this, we're talking about ecstasy, ecstatic love. It means which is just before pure love of Krishna. So if one is pure love of Krishna, they also have these symptoms.
And actually, other great sages will recognize you, other great devotees will recognize the real symptoms. Ordinary people may not. But real, other great devotees will recognize that is true. He's a cheater, or that's true. Because they are there, but they can't recognize it. Just like a doctor who can't recognize certain disease. Or if you see somebody from your country, for example, when you meet somebody from the country in another country, immediately you can recognize the piece, like the way he talks, like the way he thinks he likes, the streets of my hometown. If he's not from there, you know that no, he's not from my country. But he is.
That answer the question?
Yes.
Any other questions?
That's why sometimes we said only a few devotees of the Mahabharata can tell who is actually Mahabharata.
That's right. These great.
Not for us to recognize. Nowadays, disciples give the title of Mahabharata to the guru, because it's my guru. And but only in Mahabharata can tell yes,
Mm-hmm.
so far we can hear from the other Mahabharata, yes, we can recognize certain things. From the point of view of Mahabharata, that's way very hidden in the heart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like we say Vaishnava. Vaishnava is not a title. Vaishnava is you say qualification, right? Same idea. Okay, I am over time. I'm in trouble. So end here for today. I didn't see anyone came in. No one even left any messages today. Sorry?
The original verse, the transliteration.
Translation or
Transliteration.
transliteration? Um, uh, yeah, or the transliteration, the verse that we were chanting. It's that one. Yeah, 8:5:25. Okay, let me